Welcome back, everybody. As you know, it is a pleasure to be with you, and especially Monday mornings, because that is reserved for the SHOPO Hour, which is underway right now. News Radio 830, KHVH. Rick Hamada with you. Scotty B in the morning. The first voice you hear when you give us a call at 521-8383. And once again, welcoming back into studio, it's Bobby, Steve, and Mark, and it is the SHOPO Hour. I like being casual in the morning. I hope everybody's doing well, and it's good to be back. Bobby, aloha to you, brother.
It's glad to be back.
Yeah. Have we missed two shows? I think we have. Just one.
Well, it's just one.
Yeah, close enough. That's all right. We're doing well. We're fine. We're fine. Brother, how you?
Oh, Rick, good morning. Good times. Good morning, Bobby. Good morning, Mark.
Nice.
Happy to be here. Grateful to be here.
Yes, sir. Brother Mark, aloha to you.
Morning, Rick, Bobby, Steve. Looking forward to the show.
Tell you what, it's going to be, I mentioned while we were on our recent voyage, asked folks that were with us what they enjoy about the program. Several cited this hour. And what emerged, and Brother Mark can attest to, what emerged is we need to hear the other side of the story, because we are inflicted by the bias and the agenda and all of that, and it's very real. It's not a contrivance. It does happen. So we've come into several weeks. I'd like to get everyone's take so far. That what kind of feedback have you received, or what kind of commentary, or perhaps even impact that may have been made in the very few times that we've been together moving forward. And Bobby, I'd love to get your take.
Yeah, we've gotten great feedback from our members and some of the public as well. When you go out, just to some of the other events that we normally do for the union, right. You get approached, and there are a couple of people that ask about the show, and they're delighted to actually hear from our members or from us that represent our members and talk on behalf of our members and, try and get our story out, on what we do.
Right. Good to hear. Brother Steve?
Yeah. Well, Rick, you're the superstar here. We're just handing out. A lot of people know who you are. They love your show to begin with. But the feedback I've gotten is they like to hear our version of how things go, because just sometimes things are presented in a way that might not be 100% accurate. So I think the three of us here can come in, sit down, talk story with you and your listeners, and just give everybody maybe a different perception on certain things that take place in our community, and also to provide insight into police department operations, kind of our take on things, and then obviously as a labor union that represents police, what are we doing to help the men and women in blue across our state to, have a living wage, good uniforms, and want to stay with this career. So,
amen. Yeah. Amen to that. Brother Mark?
Yeah, so I still keep in touch with a lot of the rank and file. And after our first couple shows, I got a lot of feedback saying, finally somebody telling the other side of the story, talking on our behalf. Because, as you know, and talking to people on our cruise, they coming up to me like, finally there's another side to it. You guys need to be represented properly. And there's always that spin because they have to sell news stories, they got to sell newspapers that, HBD is a great punching bag, right? But the rank and file, as well as the public, as from what I've heard, is finally there's a voice out there. And
right.
Prior to me retiring, we've had many conversations, right? Like, Rick, I got to come on your show when I retire because there's only one side getting out there. So finally here, and thank you for that.
No, it's a pleasure, and all of our gentlemen, I'd like to kind of reestablish, if we can, and then continue on. Again, President, Vice President of SHOPO, respectively. What would you like to share with us about SHOPO, and maybe dispel any assumptions that you may hear in the general public about the role of SHOPO and the mission underway?
Well, I think a lot of the rumors, or not rumors, but some of the viewpoints on SHOPO and what we do for our members, we'd like to dispel the rumor that we don't believe in discipline, or that we, every case that comes before us where a member has made a mistake or a bad decision, that we just go forward and go all the way to try and remedy that situation. We as a police union do believe in accountability, but at the same time, we need to ensure that our members are treated fairly, that the collective bargaining agreement is followed, and to also make sure that the other side, the employer, remembers that we're human as well, and that the decisions that we make are split-second decisions, and that's why we always say, when we do our job, we have to do it right, and we have to do it right the first time.
Amen. Thank you, Bobby. Steve, I'm going to go right down the line once again.
Sure. No, I I think Bobby was spot on accurate with that. We're a labor organization that represents, obviously, police officers across the state. But I feel that our organization also tries to do things as far as community outreach. Bobby and I we're really excited to come on the show because we're hoping that with participation from your listeners, we can educate the public and provide them a different viewpoint on things. And if you think about it, for our first responders that wear the police uniform, for them to take care of our community, they need to feel that they're taken care of. And that's where SHOPO comes in, to give them that security. So if mistakes are made at work, or if there's any kind of discipline, that the discipline is done in a fair manner, meaning past discipline is appropriate for what happens. But I feel it gives our members, our police officers across the state that wear the uniform, get up every day and serve the communities, it gives them a little bit of peace of mind that somebody has their back, and then I feel they're in a better mindset to go out and perform the work they do on a daily basis.
The one thing, and I'll get to Mark in a second, the one thing that I pick up all the time is that the policing that takes place within HPD is HPD policing one another. I sense that there's a tremendous amount of accountability, officer to officer, subordinate to higher officers and executives and et cetera. You watch each other, and if somebody screws up, you might hear about something in the news, but there's something happening within the four walls of HPD where you're taking care of that business. And that's the one impression I've received, Mark.
Yeah, there's tremendous accountability, and we do we do discipline our own, despite what the civil beats, the Lincolnwanos, and all them are saying. There's no cover-ups and all that. So if there's discipline has to be warranted, we do it, because the guy's doing the job right out there. The public looks at the uniform. They don't look at the individual. So one person screws up, everybody screws up. But one person does good, they don't see that, right? So but that's where the union comes in, to make sure that accountability is proper according with the contract, make sure everything is done properly.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad we're having the chat. I always like to just kind of lay the table out. Open phones at 521-8383. Give us a call. By the way, you can also connect with SHOPO, again, with social media, et cetera, that we'll cover in just a few short moments. So the fact that we are here every week, I love that. We did miss a week, so I want to go ahead and do a little bit of review. Gentlemen, what would you like to share with us that may have transpired since the last time we were here? Regardless, doesn't matter. Whatever might be top of mind with you.
Yeah. Bobby, you want to run with the bail, Mark?
Yeah,
the bail reform? You want to touch on that?
We were talking practically on the show, so I'd like Bobby to
Okay.
go along with his bail reform stuff.
Yeah, so we're monitoring House Bill 1567, which is basically bail reform. It passed its third reading, and basically the amendments to the bill specifically state that any person arrested, held, or charged with a Class C felony shall be released. And also, anyone arrested and charged for petty misdemeanor with bail less than $99 and it can't make bail shall be released.
What?
Yeah.
Sorry. As a
22
layman,
yeses.
I'm going, you got to be kidding me. Where does this come from? Another, just a layperson, we already have relaxed consequence for action. That consequence is supposed to deter and ensure that if you violate, you have skin in this game. But now you've just described you do the diligence of investigating, arresting, get to processing, and this bill would negate everything.
Yes, and I mean, I'll
Get that
point
right.
out that the Class C felonies are supposed to be any non-violent Class C felony, but that still includes breaking into your car, business owners,
Identity theft.
identity
oh my
theft,
gosh.
somebody breaking into a business and stealing a whole mess of stuff.
I think what was a surprise to me when the three of us, Rick, were just talking story before we came in studio for a couple minutes was the number of elected leadership that gave the thumbs up to this. It was like 22 of them. And you ask yourself, you know, is the political leadership really doing the will of the people? Right?
Right.
Are they doing the will of the people? And I was kind of caught off guard at the high level of support this received. It was, right, Mark, was it 22, Bobby, 22,
Yep.
something like this?
Yep.
It was not like a small group. It was pretty overwhelming that it seems like we're going down this road of quote unquote bail reform, basically, you know.
Rick, to me, it's not bail reform. It's no bail. Let's get it right. They like to put a spin on the little words. It is not reform. Are you kidding me? It's no bail.
elimination.
That's it. Yeah. You know, and then when you first started your show this morning, the 6 o'clock hour, you went a little berserk on that square building. I was listening to that.
Oh, it's coming up at
And you had
8:10.
mentioned, right?
Yeah.
The people in that square building do not give a rip about the regular person out there. And this solidifies it. You know?
Astounding.
New
Astounding.
York is already going through this. Obviously, they already had this passed, last year, and you see it in the streets. You know, I was in New York about 3 weeks ago,
Mhm.
and walking through Times Square, people are just doing anything and everything, and with the cops standing there right on the corner. You know, they had 2 cops on every corner in that area of the street, and I approached a couple of them, and you had people on quads riding on the sidewalk, guys just lighting up joints, you know, smoking marijuana in public
Yeah.
on the street. And so I asked the cop standing on the corner, hey, so, you know, you guys just kind of just watch all of this that's going on? You guys do any enforcement? And the cop basically said, well, you know what? We don't get any backing from the command because of their bail reform. If they arrest these people, they walk right out the door. So he said, basically, as long as they're not killing each other, we just stand here and, you know, make sure that everybody is, you know, that was basically his response.
So the owner or occupant of that building that's getting graffiti or windows bust out or items thievery and robbed and ripped off, if there's terroristic threatening, if you will, intimidation for any reason in any quarter, all of that, criminals know. They know. It's game on. And that's basically what we're seeing in New York, as you described. That's coming to our home.
They know already, Rick, they know already over here from our prosecutors, just our, you know, we call it RPI, release pending investigation. We hook these guys up for felonies, and they're telling detectives, oh, I'm going to be RPI'd. I'm going to get released. So they're doing it. They know it already.
They are
It's only
doing
going to get worse.
If you look at our community, it's a special, unique community, right? And my whole thing is, why are we changing it? What wasn't working? We're a really safe big city. Why are you fixing why are you quote unquote trying to fix something? Is it really broken? And really is, again, I want to stress this. This isn't, you know, Stephen, Bobby, and Mark, the cops and the SHOPO guys, trying to spin this where, oh, well, of course they're going to be anti this or anti that. If you look at some of our beautiful cities across this country with rich history and traditions, they're getting run to the ground because they don't have basic law and order. And everybody's leaving. See, now here in Honolulu, we don't have the luxury of moving to the state right next door because we got the Pacific Ocean around us. Ask yourself this question. If our state starts, and the communities within our state start having higher crime and it becomes dangerous, where are people going to go? They literally have to pack up, get on an airplane. They can't just drive to a community that's a couple hundred miles east or west. It doesn't work like that for us.
Right.
So, again, we're not trying to be alarmists here, Rick, as we're talking. We're just talking about facts. What type of community do we want to have here in Honolulu County and then Maui, on the Big Island, Kauai? What values do we hold? How do we want to live over here? Because if we start opening the gates where things become a little bit more dangerous, a little bit more unsafe, and we start going down the road, people can't just pick up and leave. And I don't think that's fair to people.
Well, no, yeah,
it's not fair. I mean,
Not at
we're
all.
here for a reason.
And the incrementalism,
You can't.
it may be misdemeanors, it may be third class now, but there is a desire to heighten it with a severity of crime that will get a pass. And the only thing I can think of is that those who support this are saying if somebody commits a crime, there shouldn't be a discrimination on the individual of being able to post bail based on their inability to pay. That's the kind of rationale that comes to my mind.
In other words,
Don't commit a crime.
simple. Well,
Jeez.
how about you care about the victim for once in your life, right?
Good morning. Gee, Christmas. Thank you for bringing this up and making us surprised of it. Third reading means that it's ready to go into second crossover. And if it sails through conference, this could be law. Do we have any idea what the governor's, I can't believe I'm going to ask this, what the governor's inclination is on this?
I'd be curious to know what the mayors of the counties would think about this. I mean, we have a good rapport with Mayor Rick, and Mayor Rick. I don't think he'd be. I don't want to speak for Mayor Rick, but knowing what we know about Mayor Rick, I don't think he'd be a big fan of that at all. And his administration, I don't think they'd go for that.
That's one of those issues, though. The state legislature passes
Yeah,
that
he
law.
doesn't have
it's
a
a
I know,
statute.
but you just
Yeah.
you wonder what the county leadership thinks.
What
I mean, maybe at the state level, this is what they want, but I think the county mayors would probably need to become very vocal about this, or should start if they're not, or their staffers or their team maybe need to look into this if they can make the time. Because this is gaining traction.
I don't know if it's role and responsibility, but would the police commission have they expressed, do they have a role of opining on any of these types of issues? Or ideally, should they be silent and focus on basics? Mark, you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they
Okay.
have a role. They're just oversight for the department.
Yeah.
And then, some people in the commission, I wouldn't doubt that they're for it.
Anyway,
Just
just trying to
That's the
figure out
problem.
how this can get to this point. Bobby, would you like to share contact information? Steve, jump in. How do we learn more? How do we connect?
Sure.
with
So
SHOPO?
I know we share with your viewership every week. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We're currently actually redoing our website, and hopefully in the next couple months we can have a platform where the public can go check out merchandise, a little bit more about our organization. So that's under construction. But again, Facebook, the Gram, Twitter, and then we're right there in Kalihi. Yep.
Tell you what, it's already 7:28. Your humble talk show host is in a different time zone. I do have breaks to get to. However, how about headphones, guys? Because I don't want to leave Roger out in Kona waiting. I'll get caught up with business in a moment. This is the SHOPO Hour, News Radio 830 KHVH. I want to welcome Roger, who is with us. And Roger, thank you for your patience. You're on with the fellas. Good morning.
Good morning, Rick. I just wanted to just give my 2 cents. I totally agree with everything that you guys are saying. I moved here from San Francisco on 89 to Kona. Love it here, but, we went back to San Francisco in 2019, medical reasons, and place is just a cesspool. And these Democrats, they want to change every big city to be like this. They want to defund the police. They want all the prosecutors to, have their hands tied. And like you said, what about the victims? And we just got to get the word out to all our neighbors and friends, because especially here, everybody just keeps voting for Hirono, voting for these same clowns, and they're ruining our country, and we got to get together. And unfortunately, when I talk to my neighbors about it, they don't know what I'm talking about. They're like, well, where do you get your information? Well, the problem is they don't listen to your radio show. They don't watch Next News. They don't watch podcasts. They just watch CNN, and they're all brainwashed.
Okay. Well, listen, I thank you very much, Roger. Got to get to the bottom of the hour break, but we appreciate your call. We've talked about New York and now invoking San Francisco, which, by the way, I lived in the Bay Area for years. I love that city, but I have no desire to go back. Last time we stayed, this is like 4 years ago or so, near Union Park, and it was terrible. And that was then. It's even worse now, I understand. So the consequence is real. And I like the way you mentioned it, to just say this is not inflammatory. There's no contrivance again. This really happens. And we need to stave it off, without a doubt. We're going to continue with your telephone calls at 521-8383. It is the SHOPO Hour on News Radio. I want to thank you for all your calls. Hold on tight, Manny, Richard, and more. But first, we'll go to Manny in Waipahu. Manny, thank you for your call. Good morning. We're going to try Manny again. Didn't seem to have a good connection. Let's go to Richard here in Honolulu. Richard, good morning.
Good morning. My question is, have any of you at any time felt misused as another tax collection agency for the city or state in any regard, like with the seatbelt tickets or the jaywalking tickets?
So, in other words, collecting, et cetera, and the money goes to the state, Mark?
Absolutely not. We stop people for seatbelt and stop signs, this and that, and one of the responses we'll get is, "Oh, you're making money for the state. You're making money for the city." It's total BS. We're there because you are violating the law, and that's why you're getting stopped. Yes, there is grants from the federal government for seatbelts and speeding, but that is to keep your roads safe. It is not to make money for the federal government and the city and state. So at no time in my 31-and-a-half-year career did I feel that I was a tax collector. Absolutely not.
Okay. Well, I think obviously if there are traffic infractions or pedestrian infractions that occur, there is a monetary, we'll call it a monetary correction. It's there so people can correct the behavior that they shouldn't be doing, and if some funds go back to the state, then that's just how it is. But to the caller's question, we appreciate his participation this morning, right? But no, I've never felt that I'm in some kind of tax collector. Remember, police across the state have discretion for these type of offenses as well. And I would probably articulate that more often than not, people probably get a warning on certain less egregious offenses than they actually do getting paper written for that violation.
I'll have to ask an obvious question I'm sure someone is probably thinking of, and that is quotas. Are there quotas for the issuances of citations?
Okay, so
Mark?
We don't have quotas per se, but as a supervisor, I expect my people to work. And as a taxpayer, you should expect the officers to work. So if they're working 8, 9, 12-hour day, and they come in with zero stats, what were you doing all day? So you got to look at it that way. Mm-hmm. So as supervisors, we expect work to be done. And as a taxpayer, you should too.
There we go. 7:36 in the morning. Thank you very much. We're going to try Manny once again. Manny, are we connected? Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, gentlemen, for receiving my call. Yeah, I want to get back to this no bill. it's not only the no bill, it's a larger issue than the no bill that we're talking about. It's the complete breakdown of the judicial system. Prosecution, a person's right to a speedy trial, and the attitude, I've seen it personally, of the HPD here. You know, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I was a policeman in Waianae for over 20 years. This is back in the 70s. And the projection that the policemen have now, I guess it does with training or whatever, and the judicial system, the breakdown of it. Because each person, even if it's a petty misdemeanor or a misdemeanor, they're entitled to a speed and fair trial. That's when you get no bail comes into the picture. You got a person that can't afford bail for a petty misdemeanor. The judicial system has to make accommodations where that person comes to a speedy trial.
All right. I got to leave it there because of time, but Manny, I'm glad you came on the air. Gentlemen, any replies?
Let me start with the bail. They don't want any bail. But bail is to ensure you show up to court. That's what bail is for. And it's usually for the arraignment and plea. So 9 times out of 10, if they don't make bail, they go to court the next morning from our cell block, and it's up to the judge whether to release because they have been to arraignment and plea. So if they bail out, right, then they're set. A court date is set further down the line. They show up to court, they get their bail money back. It's to ensure they show up to court, you know? So there's nothing to do with the speedy trial. Show up to court. You see some of these guys, all these warrants out there. It's crazy.
Again, Manny, thank you for your call. Phone line open, 521-8383. We're going to get to Mike in just a moment, but Ruth will be first in Kapolei. Ruth, you're on the SHOPO Hour. Good morning.
Good morning. I just want to say thank you to you guys. I really appreciate you coming on and being able to hear you. I am Neighborhood Security Watch, and we miss not having anyone walk with us once a month, but we are continuing and doing whatever we can to help. And I have a sign in the back window of my car saying that I support you guys. Thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thank you very much for taking the time. And Ruth articulates a message I think that's embraced by many. What is the role of volunteer citizenry in regard to assisting, whether it's neighborhood watches and more?
Yeah, the neighborhood security watches are awesome because it keeps the community connected to the officers that serve in their particular area. And by having that connection and interaction, they can get a real sense of what's going on in their neighborhood because, you know, they may not know what's going on currently. So for them to meet with the officer, you know, and then have them do their walks, it's interactive.
How about neighborhood boards? Is there communication with them on a regular basis through meetings, access?
Normally neighborhood boards are once a month, and somebody from the department, normally a sergeant or lieutenant, or sometimes even the captain or the major of the department does attend to give stats and to answer questions or complaints from that particular board.
Gotcha.
And Rick, if I could just jump in, you know, Ruth, we really appreciate you. Thank you for calling in. I can't tell you what it means for the men and women that put the uniform on every day and try to keep the community safe to have this type of public support. It's inspiring. It's motivating. It really makes us want to do an even better job. And I just want to say, Ruth, thank you so much for your support. We love you. We love people like you, and we need it. And we appreciate you taking the time this morning. Thank you so much.
Just a sidebar, get back to the calls, and that has to do about accessibility, access, that you have programs with the general public that they can participate in. Coffee with a Cop, one of them. Can you share how we can connect with you even more, even maybe the return of ride-alongs or something along those lines to where we can learn more?
I just saw a notice that came out. The ride-along program is back, right, Bobby? I don't know if you saw the same thing. The ride-along program is back. And that, I think, is really an exceptional opportunity for the community to see firsthand what their police departments do. I think it's a great program, and I want to put this out there to your listeners that please, if you have questions about the police department, again, choose the appropriate time. But if you see an officer in uniform, we're happy to talk with you. Again, if we're in the middle of an investigation or on a traffic stop, please don't come at us at that moment. But if you see us out in the community, whether it's at the gas station or we're walking somewhere, don't hesitate to approach us. We actually don't mind interacting with the public. It's something we enjoy doing if it's the right moment and we can make the time.
7:42 in the morning, News Radio 830 KHVH will connect with Don out in Mililani. Don, it's 7:42. You're on the SHOPO Hour. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, SHOPO. I really appreciate you taking my call. Rick sort of got ahead of me a little bit. I was calling about ride-alongs. I rode along about 20 years ago, and I enjoyed myself immensely. It was a very eye-opening experience. Okay, you just mentioned that ride-along is back. So how do I get one?
Wow, that's a good question. I mean, that's a logical question. If folks would like to, is there a way in order to reach out and learn more?
You could contact the Community Affairs Division. They could arrange the ride along for you. You can, of course, fill out a waiver and some paperwork, but our Community Affairs Division could fix that up for you. And you can go to, I think it's honolulupd.org. You can get it from there. And then whatever district you live in, you could ride in that district.
Right. Very good. Don, thank you for your call. Thank you very much indeed. And it is the SHOPO Hour. I was remiss at the very beginning of the hour, as always, to allow our friends to reintroduce themselves. I'm going to go around the table, if you wouldn't mind, just to reintroduce role, responsibility, etc., and then we'll take a break, come back with more. Bobby?
Bobby Cavaco, president of SHOPO, lieutenant in the traffic division in HPD, 22 years, and 20 years in going on my 20th year in SHOPO in a capacity.
Love it. Thanks so very much.
Sure. Steve Keogh, vice president of SHOPO, been involved with the SHOPO union in various capacities since 2013. I currently work for Honolulu PD. I have 15 years of service. I'm a patrol sergeant here in urban Honolulu, working the afternoon shift. Urban Honolulu makes up Chinatown, the Mountain, Kaka'ako, and Ala Moana.
There we have it. Brother Mark?
Mark Riccio, retired major, Honolulu Police Department, 31 and a half years, and my last command was Waikiki.
And there you have it. These are the gentlemen. They comprise the SHOPO Hour. I am delighted to be a part of this program as your host and urging you to participate with us at 521-8383. Questions, comments regarding the service of our men and women in blue, but also for those who are responsible for their welfare via SHOPO. And we hope that you'll be a part of this program. Stand by, there's more. It is 7:45. All right, 521-8383. We referred to the legislative session that is underway. The Honolulu City Council and various county councils, well, they're at it pretty much 24/7. Is there any initiative or any bill that stands out for you at the county level? Anything that county mayors are ruminating over, anything that various council members have had to say in regard to the jobs that men and women in blue that they do? Anything stand out at this point?
There was one bill I was working on with Tommy Waters. It had to do with excessive noise along the Kalakaua corridor. You know, all the street performers and all that. And and to his credit, I had a meeting with him, Senator Moriwaki, and Representative Tam. And then in that meeting, I got to give him kudos because he's the only politician that ever asked us, what could we help, or what bill could we pass that could help you guys? So we came up with this noise ordinance bill, and then I think it's getting some traction now.
Yeah.
So whereas if it's above so many decibels, then we could cite for it. But for noise complaints, we do need a complainant. So this bill, I think he put in it where they would purchase decibel meters for us, and then we get trained by the state on how to operate them, and we won't need a complainant. As long as something is above a certain decibel level, we could cite or arrest for it, right, depending on how they pass the bill. So
If I remember, in maybe the original version or perhaps even current, that it was a 30-foot distance, and then that level was established. If you exceeded, you could be cited.
yeah, so that was for, and it's still the current,
Okay.
or like boom boxes in your car. So
Right.
I don't know what this one particularly is. I'll go find out for the next show.
Yeah. But anyway, it's has there been pushback at all? People invoking First Amendment rights and
Well,
things
of
of
course,
that nature?
I think they're worried about that, but 'cause there was some talk saying some people might want to hear it
Yeah.
more than 30 feet. So that's where I think there's a fine line, and I think that's where the city attorney's got to get involved. But
Yeah.
you know, but I got to give them credit for, all these politicians. They're drafting up these bills, and they're not coming to HBD for, hey, is this going to work for you guys, or what do you need? So I have to give Tommy Waters credit for that.
So he did ask the question, what can we do to help you?
Yes.
Well, on the record, there you go.
Yes.
I want to bring this up. I'm hesitant because we have only 8 minutes. This time just flies by. Catherine K. Aloha back in testifying and with her brother. And so the reason I'm only bringing this up because it's back in the news. The whole Catherine K. Aloha, the whole incident, I'd like to just get your take of what we should know while we're reading, listening to, watching news reports about the ongoing Ke Aloha saga, if you will. What advice would you give us to make sure that we're getting an accurate and complete picture? And secondarily, is the impact of the Ke Aloha legacy of all that's transpired, is it still remaining a part of the day-to-day for our officers?
Well, that whole situation, I think, still has a profounding effect on all of us in the department because, it keeps coming up. And like you said, it's kind of like never ending.
Mm-hmm.
Just in general, this case involved the police chief, the prosecutor, and five officers. It was disconcerting to us at the lower rank and file because during that time, I specifically remember videos coming out from the department with Kathy and the police chief, internal videos to the rank and file saying that you need to do the right thing, always make the right decision. And I when I see, the news reports on what actually happened and getting a whole totality of what happened, to really think that two people like that were trying to make that portrayal to the rank and file, but then doing something totally opposite, behind closed doors, really, it was mind-boggling for me.
You have key players within this city. You had people that had power and authority that violated their oath of office. They made criminal choices, criminal decisions. They're in a good way. They're going to be held accountable. And you said, Rick, is there still any blowback with that? Well, it only takes one of us to do something wrong, where the rest of us then are picking up the pieces for a long time afterwards. I think that we're in a good place with this community, but clearly the actions of that woman and our disgraced former chief certainly did not help build trust within the community. Again, these individuals and the accomplices, they're going to be held accountable, right? And that shows that a criminal justice system is effective. But you had key people within our community that were tasked to do very important jobs. The chief of police, a lead prosecutor that decided to violate their oath of office and do criminal things. And you know what? They deserve to be in prison and jail. And if Catherine wants to start chiming in, that's to save her a cole, right? She's going to testify against her brother to try to get a lower sentence. They're disgraced. They're in the right spot. They deserve to be imprisoned. And that's where we're at with that. And yeah, did they make our job harder? Sure, the prosecutor's office got egg on their face. We got egg on our face. Nothing positive came from it other than that they were caught by the feds and now they're going to be held accountable. It was absolutely disgraceful. Disgraceful.
Mark?
Yeah, amen. Disgraceful. And then who takes the brunt of it? The men and women that are, handling cases every single day out there, because the general public, it's in the news, and again, they see the uniform, they don't see the person, so they see this coming up on the news, and automatically that officer responding to their case is part of that.
I'm thank you for addressing this, because it is a presence. However, I think by having this conversation, it's reinforcing to us, me just as a layman, as a citizen, you cannot allow the few to define the many. And you should never make that quantum leap, because you're being forthright, honest with your opinions, with your reporting, with the perspective that none of us have. That's helpful. It'd be very easy to say, well, we can't really comment on that because it's an ongoing investigation, or it's ongoing. No, you're coming out and saying, this sucked. This was bad. And they deserve what's coming their way. But that doesn't mean that Officer A, B, and C working Chinatown, Waipahu, or somewhere else, that they're the same. You can't merge all of this together. And I'm hopeful that is a message that resonates with everyone that's listening today. So we have just a couple of minutes left. Like to turn it over. Any final thoughts? Anything we should be aware of? Are there events coming up? Is there something that you would like to leave us with today? And again, just about a minute and a half. So would you like to share anything, Bobby? Anything top of mind?
Yeah, actually, I was surfing the Honolulu PD site, because we're talking about getting more police officers into this profession, because we are at a shortage.
Right.
So I wanted to see how easy it was to, like, if I was interested into becoming an officer. And it's quite easy to get information on the website. I believe April 23rd, they're going to have an information briefing regarding application and the process and whatnot. So if there's any of your listeners that are around the age, of 20 or 21 that are interested in coming into our profession, we here at, for SHOPO, we always air things that we want to improve on and whatnot. But this job really, it's probably one of the best jobs you can have. It's not monotonous every single day. It's different, so you don't have that daily grind. But yeah, I just wanted to say that.
I'm glad you did, and that takes us right to the top. Great way to end the program. Can't wait for the next one. I want to thank Bobby and Steve and Mark for taking the time. Mark retired, still getting up early on a Monday morning. That to me.
Only for you, Rick.
Oh, man. There we go.
I don't even know if he went to bed the night before. Did you, Mark?
Probably not.
Yeah,
Luckily,
all right.
this is radio and not TV. So.
We're still in trouble. Gentlemen, thank you so very much. Folks, stand by. It's 8 o'clock.